Hey community groups, I'm Joseph, a pastor here. If you come to or were at One Night, you already heard this, but what is the worst injury you have ever had? The worst injury I've received, or I should say the freakiest injury, is when I was 2 years old. So no, I don't remember this. I was apparently walking into the garage and I tripped. I was a clumsy 2-year-old, I know, what a loser. But I tripped and I face planted, but this wasn't your ordinary normal face plant. I face planted so hard, and for some reason I didn't use my hands to brace myself. 2-year-old me was an idiot. I face planted so hard my nose ripped off my face. No, I'm serious, it came off my face, just the bridge was there. You could lift it up off my face. My older brother said on the way to the hospital he was actually messing with it in the car there. I know he's a jerk. But we feel as though in life something is injured within us, something is broken with our mental health. And I actually think emotional health is a better term for it, because it's emotions we're really talking about. We want to feel better, but throughout this series we're talking about the heavy topic of depression and anxiety. Now I know many of you are tired of this topic, and I'm trying to give some valid information about depression and anxiety, information I've even gone back and forth about whether I should share in this content or context. I want to do it humbly and open from the beginning. I don't have all the answers. I might be wrong about all of this. But as I've been studying this over these last few years and even these last few months, this information has deeply impacted my life and view of depression, and even add to my self-compassion. So when it comes to depression, I'm not talking about unhappiness. Nothing will make a depressed person angrier than saying to them, hey, you should cheer up, buddy. But what is depression? Depression is a normal response to abnormal life experience. It deals with our emotions. And many times, but not always, if I simply asked you what was happening in your life, I would think, wow, life is tough. Of course you're depressed. It'd actually be weird if you weren't. It's actually kind of funny. I'll ask people who are opening up about their depression, which I find to be honoring. It means a lot when people trust me enough to open up. But I'll ask them, well, how do you view life right now? And they'll say something like, oh, I don't really feel like I have any friends. No one cares about me. Everything I do is pointless. And I go, oh, do you think that might have something to do with how you're feeling? And they go, oh, I guess probably. And to those of you who others do open up to, this is not the time for advice. It is the time to just listen and ask questions. No advice. The advice we usually think is so profound is usually pointless in that context. The best method to give advice is to take your advice and turn it into a question. So if you think prayer would help, instead of saying, hey, you should pray about that, you should say, hey, out of curiosity, do you think prayer would help? And they go, oh, no. And they go, okay, so my advice wouldn't matter anyway. Or they go, oh, huh, yeah, I think it would. And it's almost as if they discover it for themselves, and self-discovery is 90% more effective than being told something. It's almost like this Jedi mind trick to help people. But back to the topic. What does cause our depression? Well, there's actually this term called biopsychosocial. Our biology, our psychology, and our social environment, our brain chemistry, the way we think and behave in our environment, the atmosphere around us. And all these might and do play a role in our emotions for both good and for bad. They might trigger or strengthen our depression, but they also, in a positive light, might help us move towards becoming healthier versions of ourselves. And it's hard to break down the percentage of which factor is strongest or weakest. In fact, it's impossible, but it might be helpful to think through how all of these are relevant. And there are passages throughout all of Scripture, all of the Bible, of people crying out to God in the midst of hopelessness, trouble, pain, and struggle. Psalms 13:1 says, oh Lord, how long will you forget me? Forever? How long will you look the other way? Psalms 42:9, oh God, my rock, I cry, why have you forgotten me? Why must I wander around in grief, oppressed by my enemies? All throughout Scripture we see this happening, but what would it look like if we begin to reconnect with areas of life that bring meaning, joy, connection, relationship, hope, love, attachment? What if this leads to a snowballing effect in these areas where we grow more and more in the direction that we want to be moving in? What even are these areas of reconnection? That's what this whole series is about. We'll be looking at areas of connection that are desperately needed in life, areas that I hadn't even thought of, like having meaningful work. There was this massive study done across 142 countries, including millions of workers, and it found that only 13% of working people actually felt any passion for their job. That means 87% of people are either disengaged or actively hate their job. What does that matter? We were shown that people who felt a sense of joy from their work were 4 times less likely to have a heart attack than other workers. But the more positive you felt about your work, the more your depression actually fell. It showed that the level of control you have in your work directly relates to the amount of depression you have in your life. When what you are pouring your energy and effort into is enjoyable, your whole life is more full. It's areas like this in life we want to look at. Maybe you aren't a machine with broken parts. Maybe you are a person with a deep need for connection. Maybe you need community. Maybe you need meaningful values. Maybe you need meaningful work. Maybe you need purpose. You need others who love and support you. You need to reconnect with God. You need a hopeful future. And I wonder if instead of losing hope because of the times I've struggled with depression, I listened to that pain as a type of wake-up call. I saw it as an alarm to look at areas of life that I might be disconnected in, to look at what areas of life I need to reattach myself in, and how do I do that? What if my pain is actually a guide to hope? And that's what we're going after these next few weeks.